There are moments in life when the strongest thing you can do is to do nothing at all. No texting, no chasing, no trying to salvage what is already broken. In love, as in life, true attraction doesn't come from clinging, but from the ability to stand firm in stillness. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You just need enough self-mastery to not lose yourself in love. This journey will not promise to be easy, but if you are patient enough to take it one step at a time, you will find a new strength, not from being loved by someone else, but from becoming the most resilient source of love within your own life. 1. Before you text, pause. In the suburbs of Colorado, I once met a retired Marine named Jack. If you met Jack today, you wouldn't think he was ever a warrior. A slight beer belly, a gentle smile, and a passion for growing strawberries in his backyard. But one day, over coffee, Jack shared a lesson he had carried all his life. A lesson not learned from books, but straight from the battlefield of Afghanistan. When bullets fly, the first one to act out of panic is usually the first one to fall. Those who pause, observe, breathe, stand the best chance to survive and win. Jack said that in the military, the first thing they taught was not to react immediately, but to read the situation in stillness. No panic, no emotional rush, no shooting back just because of fear. You see, the battlefield of love, though without real bullets, is full of traps just as cunning. Only instead of gunfire, you're facing an emotional bomb called, "She read my text but didn't reply." And your first instinct, like a green recruit fresh into battle, screams, "Hurry, text again, ask why, win her attention back. If I don't text, I'll lose her. If I do nothing, I'll lose." Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But the truth is, you're not losing. You're simply using your emotions to detonate the landmines under your own feet. Every time you want to text out of loneliness or anxiety, stop and ask yourself, am I seeking connection or am I begging for validation? Or am I trying to build a relationship, or am I just trying to fill a void inside? This small distinction is the line between a man who masters himself and a boy who chases his fears. Because real love never demands you to lose your dignity to keep it. If it does, it's not love. It's just anxiety dressed up as affection. Picture this. You're starving, truly hungry. Right in front of you is a cheap, cold hamburger, while your kitchen is preparing a steak dinner fit for a king. If you can't endure 5 minutes of hunger, you'll rush into devouring that sad hamburger and miss out on the feast you deserve. A weak moment text is just like that cheap hamburger. Don't sell out your lasting value for a temporary craving. I once saw a guy in Denver send 17 texts within an hour. Guess what happened? The girl blocked him immediately. Not because she hated him, but because no one is attracted to pressure and desperation. Attraction doesn't come from what you do. It comes from the calmness you hold even when you do nothing. A man who can sit still, smile through uncertainty, and keep silent while his heart screams is a man a woman cannot help but notice. But what if she forgets me if I don't text, you ask? I answer bluntly. If she forgets you after just a few days of silence, the truth is, you never really had her. And if she remembers you because of your unwavering calm, that is real, lasting attraction. Remember, you're not a clown in a circus, dancing for an ounce of attention. You are a man of value. You don't beg for attention. You attract attention by becoming a man you yourself would respect. Conclusion of Section 1. Next time, when the urge to text strikes you late at night in the cold emptiness, do as Jack would. Pause and breathe. Assess the situation and whisper to yourself, I don't need to rescue myself with a text. I will rescue myself with self-control. Then simply put the phone down, brew a hot cup of tea, and smile like a silent warrior winning the battle, not with fists, but with the supreme mastery of himself. 2. Silence, the power of invisible presence. Back when I lived in New York, I knew a guy named Kevin, a street musician who played the violin in the subway station. One day I asked Kevin why he didn't choose the rush hours to perform. He smiled, gently plucked a string, and said, "Among the noise, music becomes a whisper, but in stillness, music becomes a voice." That sentence haunted me ever since, because it doesn't just apply to the violin. It also applies to how we show up in other people's lives. When you rush to send a text after every minute of silence, when you scramble to fill the gaps with unnecessary words, you're turning yourself into background noise. People hear you, but no one truly listens, because what constantly assaults our ears becomes background sound. And what becomes background, people easily forget. Silence is different. Silence is a letter without words. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't demand care. It simply sits there, firm, patient, like a rock in the middle of a river. And because of that, it forces others to look into the void and ask themselves, why is he silent? What is he thinking? Did I lose something? I once witnessed a friend, Ryan, after breaking up, decide not to send any texts to his ex. No drama, no begging, no teary goodbyes. He just stayed silent. 3 weeks later, she reached out to him, not to blame, but to apologize for losing a man who knew how to respect himself. Of course, silence doesn't always make people come back, and you need to accept that from the beginning. Silence is not a tactic to win someone back. Silence is a choice to live true to your values, regardless of the outcome. It's your way of saying, I don't measure my worth by someone else's actions. I don't need to shout to be seen. I exist, and those who recognize that will find me. Psychologically, when you stay silent, you also do this. You return the space for the other person to feel themselves, because people can't miss you if you're constantly standing right in front of them. No absence, no longing, no gap, no desire. You might think, but silence hurts, and it does. Silence is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those who have understood that negative emotions are a part of growing up. You endure the longing, the emptiness, not to punish yourself, but to train your heart to no longer be dependent. You let it hurt. You sit with it. You don't soothe it with a weak text. You let the pain teach you. You are okay, even when no one replies. In truth, people aren't drawn to those who are always available and predictable. People are drawn to those who have their own inner world, a world they want to explore but cannot easily enter. And to build that world, you need silence. Not silence out of coldness, but silence because you are busy. Busy living, busy growing, busy loving yourself. Conclusion of Section 2. Next time, when you feel your fingers trembling over the keyboard, ready to send a message just to fill a void, remember Kevin's words. In stillness, your voice becomes stronger. In silence, your presence becomes unforgettable. Put the phone down, brew another cup of tea, or take a quiet walk under the city lights, and smile, because you know you don't need noise to be loved. It is your stillness that becomes the most beautiful invitation. 3. Discipline, the armor of the inner self. When I first moved to California, I had the opportunity to attend a talk by a former CEO who had once built a multi-million-dollar company, and then lost it all. When asked what helped him stand up again after such a devastating failure, he didn't talk about talent, connections, or even luck. He simply smiled and said, "Discipline, my friend. Discipline was my armor when everything else fell away." It's the same in love. You don't fail because you love too little. You fail because you can't control how you react when you love. Every time you rush to text endlessly, apologize unnecessarily, or desperately seek validation, you are stripping off your armor of discipline, walking naked into the storm. You turn yourself into a beggar for affection, instead of being someone who builds value and gives from fullness. Discipline doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel sad. It doesn't mean you must act cold or heartless. Discipline simply means not letting temporary emotions pull you away from the person you want to become. You're sad. You miss them. You crave to send a text. That's fine. Feel all of it, but don't act blindly on it. It's like a soldier dying of thirst who still refuses to drink from a dirty stream by the road because he knows the price of one weak moment will be much greater than the thirst I'm feeling now. You're the same. A text sent in panic might make you feel better for 30 seconds, but it can destroy the entire image of self-respect you spent months building. I remember once a guy named Marcus in San Francisco shared his story with me. He had gone through a painful breakup. On the day they parted, his ex told him, "I need time." Marcus, instead of staying patient and preserving his dignity, started texting her every day. "Are you okay? Have you thought it through yet? I miss you so much. Is there anything I can do to make you forgive me?" By the 10th day, he only received a cold, cutting reply. "Please respect my decision." Marcus learned a hard lesson. Love is not sustained by pleading. It's sustained by freedom, by giving both people space to grow without pressure. And the only thing that gives you the strength to respect that space is discipline. Discipline is when you choose not to act according to the temporary hunger of your heart. It's when you know not every emotion deserves to be obeyed. You don't ignore your emotions. You simply become the adult in a room full of screaming emotional children asking for candy. You stand firm. You smile. You wait for the storm to pass without tearing down everything you've built. And something strange happens. When you have discipline, you not only maintain your self-worth, you also command respect and even attraction from others. Because deep down, humans crave stability. We are drawn to those who are not easily shaken, to those who don't sell their soul just to buy fleeting attention. Conclusion of Section 3. Next time, when you stand at the crossroads between two choices. 1. Sending a desperate text to ease your emptiness for 10 minutes. 2. Staying silent, enduring the discomfort, but preserving your dignity. Choose discipline. Not because you are cold, but because you are building a stronger version of yourself. Brew a cup of black coffee. Read a chapter of a book. Write down your goals for the upcoming week. And smile because you just added another layer of armor to your heart. An armor made of patience, self-respect, and quiet strength. 4. Stop chasing. Create space for natural attraction. There's a strange truth that many people refuse to accept. The more you chase, the more you push things away. This holds true with cats, with success, and especially with women. I remember a guy named Ben from Austin, Texas, who used to chase a girl as if he were on a treasure hunt. Every morning, Ben would text, "Good morning, my love." By noon, he would send, "Have you eaten? I miss you." At night, he would seal the day with a sweet line, "Sleep well, my princess." You would think this kind of romantic effort would sweep the girl off her feet, but no. After just 2 weeks, she politely replied, "Thank you, but I think I need time to focus on myself." In diplomatic language, that means, "You are suffocating me with your constant presence." Attraction, in truth, doesn't arise from being constantly available. It arises from the space, from the mystery, from not knowing exactly what you're thinking, what you're doing, or whether you even truly need them. Imagine this. You walk into a perfume store. There are 2 bottles on the shelf. One bottle is immediately sprayed onto your hand, puffed into the air, almost shoved into your nose by an eager salesperson. The other bottle sits quietly on the shelf, letting out a faint, distant fragrance. Which one draws you in? Exactly. The mysterious one, the one you have to lean in closer to experience. Love works the same way. When you stop texting in a hurry, when you stop broadcasting every emotional breath you take, you create space for them to miss you. You give them the opportunity to reach out. You allow them to experience your absence, and if the bond is real enough, they will come back. And if they don't, then congratulations. You've saved yourself a huge amount of time instead of trying to keep someone who would have stayed only out of guilt or pressure. Someone once asked me, if I don't chase her, won't she think I don't care? I answered, you're not here to prove your love. You're here to share it, only if the other person wants to receive it. True love never demands that you sell your self-respect. It doesn't need 10 texts a day, 5 calls every night to survive. If it does, it's no longer love, it's dependency. Want to become more attractive? Live your life. Go to the gym. Learn Spanish. Read philosophy. Take a weekend trip. Mix a brand new cocktail. Do everything a fulfilled man would do, so that when she thinks about you, in the silence, she has to wonder, what is he doing right now? Does he still think about me? Why can't I stop thinking about him? Stopping the chase doesn't mean pretending to be cold or playing games. You don't need to leave her on red. You don't need to deliberately make her upset. You simply shift the center of your life back to yourself. You love your life so much that whether someone stays or leaves, you do not lose yourself. Conclusion of section 4. Next time when you feel the urge to speed things up, send one more text. Make her notice you. Pause. Take a deep breath. And remember, the more you chase a butterfly, the further it flies away. But if you tend your garden, butterflies will come to you naturally. And when she comes, it won't be because you chased her, but because you have become a place worth stopping for. 5. Absence, the silent dignity. When I lived in Washington, D.C., I knew a street violinist named Elijah. He played during the oddest hours, when the crowds had dispersed, when the last trains had left, when the streets were lit only by yellow lamps and lonely footsteps. One time I asked Elijah, "Why don't you play when it's busy? You could make more money." He just smiled, kept playing his violin, and replied, "True value isn't in how many people hear you, but in how many people stop." You see, love works the same way. You don't need every gaze. You only need the right gaze, the one that stops for your presence, not for your noise. And sometimes the right absence is more powerful than 1,000 pleas. Many people believe they must text constantly, be present constantly, and make sure the other person doesn't forget them, to keep love alive. But the truth is, people don't forget you because you're absent. They forget you because you weren't special enough. And special isn't about frequent reminders. It's about one deep, unforgettable touch. I remember once a friend of mine, Sam, loved a girl for 3 years. Every single day, Sam would text, "Wishing you a wonderful day. I'm always here if you need anything. As long as you're happy, I'll accept anything." 3 years, not a day missed. The result? She still saw Sam as a good friend and started dating another guy after just 2 weeks of meeting him. In contrast, there are men who only need a few moments of deep, authentic presence, then disappear, yet leave behind a void that no one else can fill. Why? Because their absence carries dignity. No pleading, no weak actions, just a silent poise, like the sound of a bell that lingers long after it fades. Constant presence turns you into background noise, like the hum of an air conditioner no one notices anymore. But the right absence makes people suddenly realize the emptiness, makes them realize the value. Someone once asked me, "If I don't text, if I'm not present, won't she forget me?" I answered, "If someone can easily forget you just because you stayed silent for a few days, you should be grateful, because that is not someone you should build a future with." True love cannot be threatened by absence. It can only be tested and proven through absence. Absence is not a psychological game. It's not a tactic of whoever texts first loses. Real absence is a silent declaration that I do not need to beg to stay in your life. 10. A silent declaration that I have enough worth not to need to constantly remind anyone of my existence. If you feel uncomfortable in silence, if you feel anxious when you don't text, if you feel a desperate urge to fix things, that's a sign you need to refocus on yourself. because true peace doesn't lie in anyone else's hands. It lies in your ability to stand firm, even when every door seems closed. Conclusion of Section 5. Next time when you feel the urge to send one more text, to show up one last time, pause. Remember Elijah, the violinist playing in the empty streets. No crowds needed, no applause necessary. Just one person, the right person, who will stop. And if they don't, you keep playing the music of your life. You remain yourself, steadfast, silent, and full of worth. 6. Inner peace is built through small decisions. I once met an old man in the coastal region of Maine. White hair, pale blue eyes like a winter lake. His name was Walter, and he lived alone in a small wooden house by a pine forest, nearly 20 miles from the nearest town. One day I asked him, how can one find peace in a life so full of chaos? Walter simply smiled, poured a cup of hot tea, and answered, peace isn't a treasure buried underground for you to dig up once and be done. It's built stone by stone, day by day, until it becomes a temple. We often think that peace comes in a magical moment. Someone will text you, and all your worries will vanish. And someone will come back, admit they were wrong, and you'll feel happy again. A sudden success will wash away all your pain. But that's an illusion. True peace doesn't come from grand events. It comes from small decisions you make repeatedly when no one is watching. Every time you choose not to text in a moment of desperation, you lay down the first stone. Every time you resist checking social media just to find a sign from them, you add another stone. Every time you spend 30 minutes reading, exercising, learning something new instead of sinking into sadness, you place yet another stone. And little by little, through thousands of small choices, you build a fortress inside yourself that no one can breach. A friend of mine, named Jason, once told me, after a painful breakup, he decided to do one small thing every day to take care of himself. Not flashy changes like a month in Bali or working out 6 hours a day. Just waking up on time, drinking enough water, writing down 3 things he was grateful for each night. At first, he didn't feel any different. Still lonely, still heartbroken. But after 90 days, he had become a different man. Not because the pain disappeared, but because he had learned how to build strength from within. You know what's strange? Peace doesn't mean the absence of pain. Peace is knowing you won't collapse even when pain comes. It's like this. You can't stop the waves from crashing on the shore, but you can build a lighthouse strong enough not to be swept away. Think of it like building a strong body. You can't eat one salad and expect to become an Olympic athlete. You have to eat healthy every day, exercise consistently every week, sleep enough every night, for months, even years. The inner self is no different. One small decision today to resist a reckless text. One small decision tomorrow to go for a walk instead of curling up in self-pity. Day by day, piece by piece, you become someone even the storms have to respect. Conclusion of Section 6. Next time you feel empty, tempted to seek salvation from outside, pause. Ask yourself, what stone will I lay today for my temple of peace? Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book. Maybe it's calling your parents just to say hello. Maybe it's cooking yourself a good meal with your own hands. It doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be honest. It just has to be consistent. You don't need someone else to come and rescue you. You are rescuing yourself through each small decision, each day, each breath. And someday, when you look back, you'll realize peace isn't a miracle. Peace is a habit. 7. Accept the outcome with serenity. There's a small cafe in Boston that I love visiting. Not because the coffee is particularly good, honestly, it's just acceptable. But because of a slogan written on the wall, make coffee, not drama. Every time I look at that, I chuckle. Because it reminds me, in life and in love, accepting the outcome instead of struggling inside your own self-written drama is one of the greatest signs of maturity. We often get stuck thinking, if I just try a little harder, if I send one more text, If I change myself just a bit, maybe they'll love me more, come back, or change. But the harsh truth is, you can't control another person's heart, just like you can't command the weather. You can tend your own land, sow seeds of love, but you cannot force spring to come earlier. I remember a guy named Daniel, a literature teacher from New Jersey. After breaking up with his girlfriend of 7 years, Daniel did everything. He wrote her heartfelt letters. He sent her birthday gifts. He even wrote a 20-page poem. And guess what? The girl still left without looking back. At first, Daniel felt like the world had collapsed. But after many sleepless nights, he slowly realized a simple yet profound truth. Love, like literature, sometimes has endings that no amount of effort can rewrite. When Daniel finally let go of the need to control the outcome, when he stopped trying to fix what was broken, that's when he found a serenity he had never known before. Accepting the outcome doesn't mean you give up on love. It means you choose to respect the other person's freedom. You choose to honor your own value. You choose to live with the belief that whatever comes to you or leaves you serves your growth. There's a quote I love. Maturity begins when you understand not everyone you want will want you back, and that's perfectly okay. You have the right to feel heartbroken. You have the right to feel regret. You even have the right to miss them. But you no longer have the right to lower your dignity just because someone chose not to stay. You can't force someone to love you, just like you can't force winter to bloom a flower. What you can do, and should do, is bloom within your own winter. By continuing to live, by continuing to love yourself, and by continuing to trust in the coming of new days. Next time when you're tempted to do one last thing to hold on to someone, pause. Brew yourself a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you like. Take a sip, sigh, and tell yourself, I'm not here to control the outcome. I'm here to live authentically, and to accept whatever outcome with all the serenity I'm learning to cultivate. Conclusion of Section 7. Acceptance is not defeat. Acceptance is the bravest thing you can do for your own heart. You no longer rely on someone else's choice to define your worth. You have found strength within yourself, and that is enough. No need for extra storylines. No need for dramatic twists. Just a hot cup of coffee, a peaceful heart, and a free soul. Final conclusion. In the end, the strongest thing you can do in love is not to chase, not to cling, but to stand firm in yourself. You have learned how to pause before acting impulsively. You have learned how to stay silent instead of begging. You have worn the armor of discipline, created space for natural attraction, and accepted outcomes with serenity. No longer waiting for someone to rescue you. No longer needing someone to validate your worth. You have become a lighthouse unshaken by passing waves, unextinguished just because no one is looking. You shine silently, steadily, and from that silent light, what is truly meant for you will find its way. Choose self-mastery, choose maturity, choose yourself. Not because you need to prove anything, but because you deserve a love, one that begins within yourself.